This is so controversial, I'm sure. I don't know if it's because I'm old school. I like things the way that they were, when I played. I'm not a big fan of the leaping. I do not teach the leaping. I do not recommend the leaping. And in my lessons, I don't encourage it.
At the field, in your car, or on your couch, get your Fastpitch info from the coach's mouth. Welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast with your hosts, Jay Bolden and Ken Kraus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast. This is Ken Kraus, here as always with that debonair man about town, Mr. Jay Bolden. Jay, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Ken. Thanks for all the wonderful comments you give me. One day you're gonna have to let me do the intro, so I just sit here and compliment you. But I do appreciate all the amazing compliments, man. If I could only get my wife to say those things to me, buddy.
Well, she pays me to do it, so she doesn't have to. She wants to keep you humble.
Oh, that's amazing. So I have to thank her tonight when I get home.
Yep. Yeah. So today's big day for me. I think when I'm done here, I'm going to go get my hair cut. Something that, you remember what those are, right? You used to get those.
Yeah. Now I just kind of do it myself, man. It's I always say bald is beautiful, and this is the best haircut I've ever had. So it's fun.
Yeah. Well, you've got a good head shape for it, so that helps. If I ever went bald, I'd really be in trouble. People would say, "What's wrong with that guy?"
Yeah. The peanut head that I have is just wonderful. Although it doesn't make a good thing when you're trying to buy hats. Let me tell you.
Oh, they just kind of slide off.
No, I was trying to get him to fit with this big old watermelon head of mine. So yeah, it's it's definitely. Oh, yeah. But I do love my haircut. I will not deny that. I do love it.
Yeah, well, easy maintenance in the morning.
Absolutely.
Hey, I wanted to run something by you. This is something I keep seeing. I see it online, and I also, hear it from some of the parents of my own students and stuff. And that's coaches throwing pitchers into a game without any warm up. So they've got a problem. The starting pitcher runs into trouble. The coach had planned on pitching her all 7 innings. All of a sudden, she's in trouble. And now you're going to take your number 2 pitcher who's playing first base or right field or shortstop or wherever it is, and they're going to yank her and throw her in there. I don't know about you, but that just drives me crazy.
Well, honestly, it's an epidemic, especially at the travel ball level, right? Like they're just, hey, let's just plop her in there. She should be super loose because she warmed up, 2 hours ago or 50 minutes ago before the game started. So she should be great. I mean, have a plan for that. I couldn't agree more. And then they wonder why they come in and they struggle for the first 3 batters. It's like, well, what did you want them to do? There's no looseness in there. There's no, getting warm or any of those things. It's just plopping a kid into a position. And those girls that can handle that are props to them. But I mean, have a plan. If you know that you're going to have to bring that kid in, when your team comes up to bat, she should be in the bullpen warming up. At St. Xavier, Ken, even, we tell everyone who's in relief and who's third, but they're warming up every other inning just in case, right? And so if you have a player that's on the field and you're coming off and they're going to hit and she's not in the order at that time, get her in the bullpen and get her some Ks. And it's not going to hurt the kid, right? So just have a plan. That's more about planning. But I agree with you. You cannot just throw a kid in there like that.
Yeah, I don't care how good she is. She's not going to be successful. And then she's going to feel bad about herself. She's going to feel like she let the team down. I've heard coaches get mad at pitchers when they do that. They throw them in there. They're not performing well, and they can't figure out what the problem is. Well, coach, problem's you. Got a plan.
Yeah. Have a plan. Yeah. And I couldn't agree with you more, and we have a guest today, I think, that can maybe elaborate a little bit on that too, Ken. So, again, I agree with you. Have a plan, get the kid out of there, let her warm up when the team is batting, or have a plan to make that happen at some point. But, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. But do you want you want to give some information about this guest day? You and I could babble on that subject, but that'll have to be a whole nother episode for you and I. But we could babble forever. But we have such an amazing guest day. Why don't you give some information about this awesome guest we have?
Yeah, I definitely want to bring her on to talk about that and a whole lot of other stuff. So we're really excited to have this guest with us here today because she is not only one of the most accomplished fast pitch pitchers and now pitching coaches to ever put on the cleats, she is also a personal friend of both Jay and I. While many people think of her as an Arizona girl because that's where she first started garnering national attention, she was actually born in Menominee, Wisconsin. After being a standout in travel ball and high school, she was recruited to play collegiately at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, where she still holds many pitching records. She is the Big South Conference leader in career strikeouts, ERA, shutouts, whip, strikeout ratio, no-hitters, and perfect games, a feat she accomplished in just 3 seasons. She is one of only 5 NCAA pitchers to win 100 games, strike out 1,000 batters, maintain a sub-1 ERA, and average double-digit strikeouts for her entire career. Our guest then went on to join the National Pro Fastpitch League, where she stepped up her game even more. In her rookie season of 2006, she was named Pitcher of the Year. The 8-time All-Pro will forever hold the records for most innings pitched, games played, and games started in her 11 seasons. She was also the first pitcher to reach 100 career wins after playing for and winning championships with the Washington Glory and USSSA Pride, as well as playing for the Akron Racers and Stratford Brakettes. In 2011, her playing career expanded even further when she signed a contract to play professionally in the Japan Women's Fast Pitch Pro League, considered by most people to be the top professional fast pitch league for women in the world. She played for the Honda Motor Company, and her international adventures then continued with a stint in the Italian Pro League, where she again won a league championship. During her time as a pro, she also managed to squeeze in a coaching career. In 2007, she joined the staff at Spartansburg Methodist College as a pitching coach, then moved on to the College of Charleston in the same role before returning to her alma mater in Corpus Christi, where she spent 3 years as their pitching coach. And all of that is just scratching the surface of her accomplishments. Today, she is a top private instructor in the Austin, Texas area under the Pauly Girl Fast Pitch High Performance Pitching banner, which she shares with her father, legendary pitching coach Rick Pauly. Honestly, there is no one better to learn from. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm From the Coach's Mouth podcast welcome to the amazing Sarah Pauly.
Welcome, Coach.
Sarah, how are you?
Hey, Ken. Hey, Jay. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing awesome.
You know,
Doing awesome.
I just learned I learned a lesson today. I did not rehearse that beforehand. The intro, I just kind of read it cold. Haven't seen it in a few days, and I actually read it better than some of the ones I've been practicing. So there you go. So you don't need practice. You just got to go in cold and run through it.
Yeah, you gotta own it. Like you've been here before, right? You've said it a million times before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, before we get started into the regular questions we have for you, the banter Jay and I were doing ahead of time. What do you think about that? What have you seen with coaches putting pitchers in cold? And did you ever experience that?
No, I never experienced that because, as Jay was saying, the coaches need to have a plan. We always had a plan. In travel ball, in college, even in the pros, if the coach didn't have a plan, then the players already knew. And I understand for the younger generation, they don't know. They don't know when they're supposed to go warm up. If something is currently going on with the starting pitcher, they don't know how to recognize, if there's 2 walks and a hit or 2 really big things occur on the field. Hey, I need to go take myself to the bullpen and warm up. There needs to be somebody who is delegated to tell the younger generation, hey, this is what you're looking for. Better safe than sorry. Go grab a teammate, go off to the side, go warm up. You might go in, you might not, but either way, you're ready to go. right?
Yeah.
You know, when you get older, you kind of already can sense what's happening on the field and you can go get yourself warm. But when the coaches put the players in spur of the moment and expect them to perform, it just isn't going to happen. 50-50 chance, maybe it does happen. The other 50 chance, you can't be mad at the kid because it was, you know, it was you who didn't have a plan or came up with a plan right at the last minute and didn't necessarily communicate that with the girl.
Yeah, it's kind of that old saying, right? Your lack of planning does not constitute my emergency.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems as though it is maybe an oh crap moment, you know, in the coach's head, like, oh crap, we gotta put a new pitcher in, thinking in her head, his or her head, I don't have anybody warm. Well, so-and-so is really good. We can just throw her in there. When in actuality, that's just not how pitchers work.
Yeah.
You know, you need more time.
Yeah, I mean, what was the fastest that you felt you were able to warm up? If you absolutely had to get in there, how long would you have needed to take?
Yeah, so growing up in Arizona, we had to kind of train ourselves to get warm as quickly as possible. This was a travel ball, this was high school ball, and we already had the compliments of the heat. So the ongoing joke actually between my dad and I was a 7-minute warm up. And I could get everything I needed to get done, accomplished in 7 minutes. And so maybe I threw a little bit before the game. That wasn't the full warm up, but just to make sure that I was prepared enough to go into the game and still have my 5 pitches to warm up, I could be ready to go in 7 minutes.
That's great. Yeah, it's funny because we usually tell my girls, you should be able, or I want you to be able to warm up in 10 minutes because you're in high school ball and you're on the bus driver gets lost, you're late, you finally get there to the field. The umpire comes up to your coach and says, Coach, you got 10 minutes to get your girls on the field and we're going to go. So if you can't, you know, that doesn't mean you always have to take 10 minutes. If you need more time and you have more time, go ahead. But if you don't, get 10 minutes that you can at least go out on the field and be competent.
Yeah. Well, in that situation, I would say right when you get to the field, the pitcher and the catcher need to go immediately. Like they skip out they do their own little jog back and forth in the bullpen and they skip out on the team stuff and go to the bullpen and get yourself warm because that will give you more than the 10 minutes allowed per se before you're actually going to play.
Yep.
That should be the number one priority. Get yourself to the bullpen and start warming up.
Yep, absolutely. I used to, when I coached travel, you know, I'm coaching my daughter now. This is prior though. When I coached travel, we used to tell our pitchers and catchers they had to come 30 minutes early. Like be there 30 minutes early before everybody else. And we would, as coaches, would be there too. Right. And we would just tell them, hey, you have this extra 30 minutes to do what you need to do to get loose. That way, if you do want to do some hitting with the team, you're already ready to go. And then we'll throw a little bit right before the game starts just to make everything's locked down. But again, that's just all about having a plan and having, you know, plan A. If plan A doesn't go as planned, you got to have plan B. So I think that's important that you plan. This is what we're going to go with. But if she gets in trouble, you're up. So I need you to be loose during this innings. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Sarah. It's the 7-minute thing is awesome. I mean, that would be, and we've had to do that before because like Ken said, the bus is late or travel ball. They're moving times up now because they want to get people in earlier. So you gotta be flexible with that too though. So yeah, great points.
Well, let's get started with the stuff we actually planned now that we threw a curveball at you. But you're used to that. You were a pro. All righty. So first of all, Jay and I are both Chicago area guys. So I have to ask you, how long did you live in Wisconsin? And was it long enough to even remember anything about it?
Yeah. Born in Wisconsin. We actually moved when I was 7. I remember it was cold. And looking back now, I am so thankful that we moved to Arizona because I do not do cold weather. I don't really remember much about it. Just what I remember is what I see in photos or old videos.
And you remember vaguely hearing moo all the time, right?
No, I don't even remember that.
So, Sarah,
I always do that for my Wisconsin students.
Yeah. So, Sarah, we asked this about everybody. How did you get started in Fastpitch softball? Where did it all begin for Sarah Pauly?
With my dad. I've been listening to your guys' other podcasts, and most of them have said with their father. Yeah, mine started with my dad. I vaguely remember this, but we had moved to Arizona, and yeah, he had an old glove and a ball, obviously, and he just, was like, "Hey, let's go in the backyard and throw." And I didn't know what that meant, but we just started throwing the ball back and forth, and it was not pretty at all, mind you. Just didn't understand. I just did not understand why he wanted to go in the backyard and throw.
So you weren't like your friend Kelly Montalvo when she was on. She said that her dad used to show her off because she was 5 years old and they were playing catch and all that. That wasn't you, huh?
No. I probably didn't get shown off until maybe I was about 15 or 16, maybe. Yeah, my dad was probably like, "Oh, crud. I cannot say that this kid has it until she can actually throw the pitch over the plate." Because there were many times when we were practicing in the backyard that he was probably thinking, "What have I gotten myself into?"
That's great.
Yeah.
So Sarah, did you happen to play any other sports growing up, like basketball, volleyball? I mean, you're very tall. Were you tall at that age too? And I mean, I'm sure if you were, the high school coaches were like, "Let's get this girl playing some hoops."
Yeah. No. I never played basketball. I never played volleyball. The coaches in high school were trying to get me to play. My freshman year in high school, I did try out for the volleyball team. I did not want to do that. There must have been something like the volleyball coach basically begged me to try to attend their summer camp. This was at the end of the summer. I didn't want to do that. Volleyball was so foreign. Honestly, I had never watched a volleyball game, so I didn't even know the rules. I didn't know what was going on, but I attended their camp. And right after the camp, they had the tryout, and the coaches just could not understand how I was telling them, "I play softball year round. I'm never going to have time to play volleyball." And we go on with the tryout. Mind you, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm just someone saying, "Oh, put your arms out like this, hit the ball with the forearm, the inside part of your arm," and no practice.
I'm just picturing you kind of like wandering around the court aimlessly.
I did not know what was going on, put it that way. I did not feel comfortable out there. I just did it because they were like, "Please try out. We love your height. You could be really good. You could be a really good volleyball player." We had the tryout, and after, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, I come to the car after we found out who made the team. And my mom is there to pick me up, and I'm crying. And she's like, "Oh, baby, sorry, you didn't make the team." And I was like, "No, I did make the team." And I was crying because I made the team. Needless to say, the way that I felt was I made the team over girls who had been playing their whole life. up until that point. How did I make the team? I don't know anything about volleyball. How did I make the team over girls who had been playing and practicing and wanting to make this team? How did I make it? Basically, I made it because I was tall, and I hated that. And I told my mom, I was like, I'm not going to play on this team. I'm going to tell them thanks, but no thanks, because I can't play on a team. I can't play volleyball because I play softball year round. There is no time for me to practice volleyball when I have got to be playing softball. That's my story. Wow. Never again. Nobody ever asked me ever again.
Well, yeah, it sounds like that was probably the right decision then. I think it worked out for you, definitely.
It did. You're right.
All right. You kind of hinted at this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to ask you specifically. So when you were playing softball, were you always Sarah Pauly superstar? Or at what age, if it wasn't right away, what age did it really start coming together where you started going, yeah, I'm pretty good at this?
Going back to the practices in the backyard with my dad, I might be biased, but he's a pretty great guy. I say that because I was really bad when I started. But we practiced a lot in the backyard. You know, I would throw a ball over his head and over the fence of the other neighbor's yard. And he lied to me and told me that that was the best rise ball he had ever seen. And
that's a good dad.
It is. Same thing would happen when I would throw a ball in the ground. I have a funny story. One of the times we were out there throwing and our little dog ran across the grass, the backyard grass while I was throwing. And I didn't hit the dog, but I came pretty close to hitting the dog. And my dad told me that was the best drop ball he had ever seen. And I didn't know any better. I believed him. I believed him when he said it was a really good pitch, the really good rise ball. I believed him. Playing Little League, I was really bad. I either threw the ball over the fence, and I'm talking like way over the backstop.
Oh, wow.
Or, yes. Or I hit somebody. I probably hit 5 kids a game. It wasn't until after Little League, my dad got me into travel ball, and I played 12 and under travel ball with a pretty competitive team from Arizona. Now, when I say I played, I was on the team. I don't think I actually played because I was learning. I was so far behind. You know, I didn't actually start pitching or playing until I was 12. So all of these other kids had already been playing, you know, they had already played 10 and under, and this was their second year of 12 and under. And I'm coming in as a second year 12 and under, still throwing the ball over the fence in the backyard. So I probably didn't get anywhere close to maybe being any good until I was 14, maybe 15. It just all started to click about that age.
Now, was part of the issue, I mean, were you tall? Did you have a big growth spurt? Were you kind of awkward a little bit and then he kind of caught up to it around there?
Yep, all of the above. All of the above. And I don't think I really understood it much.
Sounds like when you were pitching, the safest place for a batter to stand would have been on the plate. If she stood down there, then she had very little chance of getting hit.
Very true. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I was behind everybody else, but I didn't know that I was behind everybody else. Every single night my dad came home from work, we would go in the backyard and we would throw. It was like clockwork. There were many times when I didn't want to go out there and throw, and he still made me. I'd probably fight him on it and be like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to sit on the couch and watch TV, or I want to go hang out and play with my friends, you know. He always changed my mind about going to practice. And it was worth it. You know, looking back, it was worth it. During the time, I was like, no, I want to go outside and play hide and seek with my friends, or I'd rather be doing this. But looking back, I'm really glad that he never gave in to me. He always pushed me to, hey, let's just do it for 30 minutes in the backyard. And I was okay. Yeah. I was okay with that. It was a good compromise, you know, but 30 minutes every single day in the backyard, it started to pay off. And when I started to notice that it was paying off, I didn't really fight him about it anymore. I was like, yeah, let's go throw.
Yeah. That probably does help when you start to see the results. You're like, oh, okay, hey, I'm starting to get good at this. Then it becomes a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that he saw the potential in you too. You know, even though it wasn't quite there, he must have seen, you know, kind of that longer road, even when you couldn't see it.
For sure. I mean, I didn't even, during that time, I didn't even know that he played men's fast pitch. So I was just thinking, like, how does he know all this stuff? You know, like, but besides the fact that you know, when you're younger, parents always say, oh, I know everything, you know, but like he really did. But I didn't know how he knew it all or knew about softball. It wasn't until like I finally figured out, oh, he really does know what he's talking about because he played. He has, you know, he was also a pitcher, you know?
Yeah.
Then I really started to believe him, though I'm not going to lie. I did butt heads with him. And I guess that's just, you know, parent-daughter, parent-child.
Yeah. I've seen you guys communicate at some of the clinics, and I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, until this day, right?
Right.
Since I was 12, even though I think he doesn't know, or I lead on to make him believe you don't know, you're wrong. I know deep down inside, he does know. And I'm thinking like, shoot, he's right. But am I going to tell him he's right? Nope.
No. He's hearing it here for the first time.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you want us to cut that part out.
Nope. Don't. He'll love that. He'll love that.
All right. So living in Arizona, playing softball, did you dream of going to the U of A?
I did more U of A than ASU. It was like the dream school for me. They didn't really come and watch. I'm sure they were there watching at some point, but they just didn't have any interest. I didn't get the interest from the Arizona schools, put it that way.
Okay.
I never understood why, but I didn't really let it affect me. I just kind of moved on, you know. They moved on. They had somebody else that they were looking for, or maybe they weren't looking for my position at that time. You know, I didn't really let it affect me. You know, I just kind of, okay, well, I really would love to go there, but if you're not showing me any interest, then I'm not going to like beg you. I wasn't that good at that time. I was good, but I wasn't like that good.
Well, then what was your recruiting journey like? So, you know, that wasn't a part of it, but I mean, did you get a lot of interest otherwise as you were in you know, kind of in that high school age, that's 18U, 16U area?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't until maybe my second year of 16s that everything started to change. Back then, we didn't have email. Did we have email? Email correspondence. I know, right?
Yeah, no,
we didn't have the email correspondence. So coaches wrote letters. We wrote letters. Like I'm talking snail mail letters.
Package up a VHS tape and send it out.
Yep. Exactly. I don't remember if I don't think I actually made like a skills tape. And the only reason behind that was because the travel ball team that I played with, we were at all of the big tournaments. And back then there was only a few really big tournaments where all of the coaches were at, you know? So it's not like nowadays where there's a ton of big tournaments and there's like coaches sprinkled here and there, you know, there were only a few. So we were always at all of the big tournaments and all of the coaches were there. So we didn't necessarily have to do much of sending out videos. You know, we just would say, I play for this team. I'm interested in coming to your school, you know, and that might have been about it. Nowadays, kids have the sports recruit profiles. You know, they're emailing the coaches like every single week, sending them their schedules. I don't even think I sent a coach my schedule. They just knew what teams to watch. It was more refined, not a ton of branch off teams. So when you were going to watch the Bat Busters or you were going to watch the Athletics or the Hot Shots, or my team was the Little Saints. We only had one Little Saints. There wasn't a Little Saints from Texas and the Little Saints from Virginia and the Little Saints from, you know, it was just the one Little Saints from Arizona.
Right.
So you knew who was on that team, you knew who coached that team, and you didn't get confused on which team you were watching. It was the gold team or, you know, the 18 gold team, or it was the 16 and under team, you know, not 16 and under A, 16 and under B.
Yeah.
United, Academy. It was just that one team. So as far as recruiting goes, it was easier, I thought, back then than it is now. It seemed pretty carefree in our day than it is now. It seems very chaotic now. But I did have a ton of interest. My mom had like a big plastic box, and she is so organized, but she had file folders, files that you use like for your taxes.
Yeah.
And she had like states written on the top of these folders. And anytime I would get a letter from a different state, she'd put it in the folder. So I had many letters. I really wish she still had that box because it would be really cool to go back and look at it. She had it all organized. It was really cool. I did have a lot of interest though. Yeah.
Blue, timeout.
Hey, Jay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think brush contact is for pitchers?
It's pretty high up there, Ken. Probably a 10 since it's hard to get maximum speed or accuracy without it.
Yeah, I agree. But have you ever had a student who struggled to get good light brush contact?
Sure, all the time, in fact, especially when they've been taught hello elbow and are trying to throw around their hips, or they're sliding their hips out of the way doing that crazy ninja move.
So what do you do when you run into that situation? Keep railing on them until they get it right?
I used to do that a lot, but then I learned about a product called Pitch Squeak, Ken.
Pitch Squeak? What's that?
It's a cool little armband with a squeaker inside of it.
Like a dog toy?
Yeah, kinda.
So how does it work?
Well, you slip the armband onto the pitcher's forearm and you set it so the squeaker is where the brush contact should happen. Then, when the pitcher goes into release, she tries to get it to squeak, like this. If she makes it happen, she got brush. If there's no sound, she knows immediately and can make a correction.
Wow, cool. So she gets immediate audible as well as tactile feedback.
Oh, there you go again, showing off with those big and technical words again. But yeah, she can feel it and hear it.
Does it really work?
You bet it does. I use it with my students all the time, and it helps them learn how to get brush contact pretty quickly if they practice with it.
Sounds neat. Where can I get one?
Oh, it's easy, Ken. Just email support@pitchsqueak.com, and Jason, the inventor of it, and a Pauly Girl certified pitching coach himself, will ask you how many you want and send them right out.
I'll do that today. Thanks, Jay. What's that address again?
Oh, you bet, Ken. It's support@pitchsqueak.com. One more time for those of you who are listening, support@pitchsqueak.com. And don't forget to mention in the email that you heard about it right here on From the Coach's Mouth podcast, and you'll receive 10% off. Play ball. So, Sarah, so you had a lot of interest. Why did you end up choosing going with Texas A&M Corpus Christi?
The coaches were there from the very beginning. They watched me play when I wasn't really good. And they were at every single game. And they just continued to watch me as I kind of evolved in my travel ball era. They were persistent. They were consistent. And back then you could only go on 5 official visits. And they were one of my 5. I only had 4 visits lined up. I actually only took 1 visit, and then I took the A&M Corpus Christi visit my second time, and I was sold. So I never even went on the other 3 visits.
You just like the campus, and in addition to the coaches, you like the campus, the location.
I loved all of that. The campus, the location. I don't think my dad really loved my decision because the softball program was very, very new. But I felt so at home when I was there. I loved the campus, palm trees all over the place, the beach across the street. We were, Texas A&M Corpus Christi is technically on its own little island. So we were called the Islanders. It was a small town feel, which wasn't what I was used to growing up in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And it honestly felt like a little destination vacation. Like I was thinking, dang, I could go to school here. They didn't have dorms. They had apartments on the bay. I think that sold me. Like, I was like, yes.
Yes, please.
The campus was small enough that I could walk everywhere. I could literally wake, and I did do this. I could wake up at 8:50. No, maybe 8:45. I could wake up at 8:45, leave my, get quickly dressed, leave my apartment at like 8:55, walk 5 minutes to campus and be there at my class. I mean, when we were in season, it was the best possible solution for going home and taking in between class naps.
That's awesome.
Because our field was literally on campus as well. So really, I mean, if you didn't have a car, you could walk everywhere. And I didn't have a car my freshman year. You could walk everywhere. It was really the greatest setup for me.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so from what we read, you were not drafted after you were done playing in college. You were not drafted to the National Pro Fastpitch League, which was obviously a big oversight on their part. But how did you then end up getting into it?
After college, I don't vividly remember thinking, I'm going to play professionally after college. It wasn't really, I don't know, it wasn't really on my radar. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't, I wasn't like disappointed that I wasn't really drafted, I don't think. My dad got an email from a really reputable coach from Connecticut asking if his daughter wanted to play for this women's open team. And we talked about it, and he emailed him back, and some sort of correspondence went on. And I said, yeah, of course. Yeah, that'd be cool. So I ended up going to play in Connecticut for the Stratford Brakettes.
Okay.
And
that's a pretty legendary team.
Yeah.
So legendary. I didn't realize it until I actually got there. I was just thinking, cool, I'm going to go play ball for the summer and I'm going to get paid a little bit, you know? Mm-hmm. It was the best summer of my life. It was so fun. And after that summer, the Stratford Brakettes were asked to join the NPF.
Oh, okay.
Which turned the team into the Connecticut Brakettes.
Okay.
So I was already on the team and they kept me on there. So the Stratford Brakettes, when we were a team, we had girls who were a mix of current college players, long time retired softball players, and just out of college players. So when the team joined the NPF, they took the girls who had just finished college and that were kind of like long past college and kept them on the team. And then the girls who were currently in college, they still played for the Stratford Brakettes. So now you had two different teams, right? They had the Stratford Brakettes for the kids who were in high school coming to play travel ball or still in college playing summer ball. And then the girls who had already graduated college were now part of the NPF on the Connecticut Brakettes. And that's basically how I got my foot in the door in the NPF. It was just honestly luck. If now that I'm thinking about it, it was just luck of the draw. You know, I
right place, right time.
Yeah, right place, right time.
So do you have any stories you could share with us or funny stories or just stories that you remember when you were playing in the NPF? Just something, I mean, that pops into your mind. Like, do you always remember, like, if you're thinking back on it?
When you guys gave me that question, I was thinking, yes, there are so many funny stories, but no, I do not remember them.
That's all right, Sarah. Oh. It's been a while.
You know what? There is something funny because, you know, listening to your guys' last podcast with Kelly Montavo, this is funny. So I know she talked about her height a lot. And we haven't really necessarily touched on my height, but obviously I'm 6'3" for people who don't know me. And there was a time when I played on the USSSA Pride. One of my best friends on the team was also a pitcher, Desiree Serrano. Mm-hmm. She was maybe an inch shorter than me. After I played for the Connecticut Brakettes, I played for the Washington Glory. We played together on the Glory for 2 seasons. And then if I'm not sure you guys or anybody is familiar with this, but the Glory was bought out by the USSSA Pride. So they bought the roster out from the Glory, and a handful of us Glory girls made the first roster for the USSSA Pride. And her and I, we moved from the Glory to the Pride, and must have been our second year of the Pride, because I think Kelly would have been a rookie in the league. But Des and I were together all the time. And so 2 women, young women walking around at 6'2", 6'3", you didn't see that very often.
Yeah.
And every single year after that first year at the NPF banquet, we would take a photo with Kelly and she would stand in between us.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then they would go for a closer picture and they just see the top of her head, right?
I didn't even think of that. But yeah, I mean, we just thought that was the funniest thing. And I know we have a few photos. I'll have to send it to you.
That'd be great. That would be fantastic.
We have a few photos every single year that we just took with her in between us. And then after Des retired, I still held up my end of the picture taking promise with her. So I would always have a photo with Kelly. And I always was like, hey, Kel, do you want me to squat down? I can come down to your level, And she always told me, nope, don't squat down. I want you to be your height. And so, yeah, that was always something that just kind of sticks in my head. Obviously, there was a lot of other stories. I just literally cannot remember them because I played 11 seasons in the NPF. So to remember back, man,
kind of runs together. Yeah, it does. It's funny too with that height because when you talk about squatting down, I remember a couple times when we were doing a clinic together, and I'd see you and you come up to give me a hug, and I always felt like a little kid because you always, I'm like 5'10", so you'd always have to kind of squat down a little bit to give me a hug, and it was like, God, I feel like I'm 8 years old again.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Sarah, I want to fast forward just a little bit, and I want to talk about when you went to play with the Japanese league, professional league. First of all, give us an idea of what that was like, and more importantly, I want people to understand what their warm up looks like and what their regiment looks like. I don't think people understand like what that is like compared to how we have travel ball kids here warm up. Just give a little bit of insight into what that was like for you playing there, and then what that regimented like warm up and day was.
Wow. All I can say about Japan was wow. The hands down best experience playing ball that I think I have had. I had never been out of the country. So my first out of the country experience was flying to Japan to go play ball with the best of the best. They are just so good over there. They are on another level. The speed of practice, this just speed of how they approach everything in the game is faster than what I was used to and what we are used to here in the States. They are extremely meticulous and uniform in their warm-up, in preparing for their warm-up, in their preparation for the game, the practice, even the preparation for after practice. It was truly an amazing experience playing in Japan. When I say everything is unified, every single detail, they are like a drill team. To be honest, the only way to explain it is their pregame warm-up is drill team unified. Everybody doing the exact same movement on a 4 or 6 count quickly. No standing around, no talking off to the side. They are all about business, and you see, I'm going to refer to baseball because one of the best players right now is a Japanese-born baseball player, Shohei Ohtani. They show you glimpses of his workout and his warm-up and his routine. And when you see things on the TV about this is how he's been training or this is what he does, I am just sitting there smiling and shaking my head because I know I have seen that firsthand with the Japanese women.
Yeah. It's like, what he's doing isn't a one-off that's specific to him. That's cultural.
It is very cultural. Yes, it is. It is very cultural.
I know Rick has talked about, too, the whole Kaizen thing, the continuous improvement that, they do in manufacturing. And he said that they apply the same thing to softball. I'm sure that's something you saw, too, where they go, okay, this didn't quite work, so we're going to change it like this, and always looking to get better.
Yeah. Practices. When I say from sun up to sundown, I am not lying.
Wow.
We would have 8 to 9, sometimes 10-hour practices.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Repetitive things over and over again. I remember this is the summer of, 2020, because it was during COVID. So COVID taking place in the States, I was in Japan and we were still playing, and there was a break in the summer because usually we go home during the summer, but we weren't able to get back into the States. The border was closed at the States. It was open in Japan. We could fly. We could leave Japan, but we couldn't get back into the States. So we stayed in Japan and we trained. And when I tell you it was my hardest but most rewarding summer that I have ever had, it was insane. I had never been in Japan during the summer. It was so hot. It was so humid. We were bringing like 3 and 4 changes of clothes to practice because we would sweat through our clothes and then change and then continue practicing and then sweat through our clothes and then change and continue
that's
practicing.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Our coach prepared us that summer for the second half of the season so well. Like the hitters, they had to have an ungodly amount of swings a day and for the actual month. Like, I know I'm going to be butchering this number. It's going to be lower than what it actually is. But I want to say they had to have like 400 swings a day.
Wow.
And
that's insane.
Like over 1,000. They had to have over 1,000 swings for that 1 month.
Wow.
And this was the month of June, the hottest month of the summer. And the pitchers, we had to run 500 foul poles that month. So you could figure out, I know.
Wow.
You could figure out how many foul poles you wanted to run per day to be able to finish with 500 that month. And in my head, I knew that was crazy. I knew that what we were doing was crazy, but we were so bought in and into the culture. We were bought into how this was going to change us.
I mean, you had to be sitting there thinking at some point, Coach, I'm not planning on running the ball across the plate.
You know what? I had a nervous breakdown a few times, myself and my teammate, Lisa Malden. I know many times we were like, this is crazy. Like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. We would ask those questions we already knew the answer to. It was just more like us saying, this is so crazy. Like, can you imagine if we actually finish this? Like, are we really going to finish this task that our coach gave us? And we did. Everybody finished the task. We were so determined. The coach we played for, he was such a great coach. He didn't speak full English. Hell, he didn't even speak English much. We figured out how to communicate with him. most of the other teams had a translator with them at all times. We did not have that. We had a translator, but she wasn't with us all the time. And they were bringing in like random people, throwing them into the mix, expecting them to know the game to help interpret for us. But for the most part, we had like Google Translate, and we had this Pocket Buddy, they called, I think, Pocket Buddy, that was like a little tiny, like I'm talking like computer translator that we would use. And we figured out a way to communicate with our coach enough to know what he wanted from us. The training we did that month, that summer, prepared us for August and September. And which was playoffs. So we were playing in the Division II. I'm trying to think of this. I might have my years wrong. It might have been 2019, but either way, we were there. We were playing for Division II championship. And come playoffs, we were on top of our game. All of the other teams were dying out there on the field because it was so hot and because they weren't in shape. And we were breezing past everybody. I mean, it was the craziest feeling. I don't think I ever prepared so hard in my life to play than I did that summer. We had to win the second division in order to get moved back up to the first division. And we won the whole thing that summer. We won the whole thing. So we won. It was so worth it. It was so much more worth it because we trained so hard in the middle of, I can't even express to you guys how horrible it was training.
It sounds like a ton.
It was so worth it.
Yeah.
It was so worth it in the end. We won the whole thing. We got moved up to the first division. We came back the next year and we pretty much balled out. I mean, people were not expecting this team from the lower division. It's not a lower division. It's just not one, It wasn't Division I. It was a Division II. It was a lower level, I guess, of play. I'm not sure. I think it had to do with the amount of money that the teams had to provide. It was based off of money, I think. And we came back and the next season played so well, and nobody was expecting that. I mean, the season was broken up into two different halves, and that first half, I think we only lost one game. And we came out and we beat teams like Toyota. We came out and beat Bit Camera. We came out and beat Uden, and all of these teams have like all of the best players in Japan on these teams. And we just came out and beat them all. And it was like such a great end to my career. We bought in and we did whatever it took to compete together as one on the field. Such a great experience. Sorry, I expanded on that.
It's okay.
I was like in my head, like reliving it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the trauma. We're not using video for we're not using video for the podcast, but we can see the trauma on your face that you remembered it.
Yeah. Yep.
So Sarah, I want to fast forward a little bit now, and I want to talk a little bit. I know you're back home, you're down there in Austin, and you're doing some pitching lessons. And Ken and I asked this a lot of the people that we've had on this podcast. What do you think about some of the recent pitching rule changes, such as allowing leaping? What are your thoughts on that? Head just went down.
Oh my gosh. This is so controversial, I'm sure. I don't know if it's because I'm old school. I like things the way that they were, when I played. I'm not a big fan of the leaping. I do not teach the leaping. I do not recommend the leaping. And in my lessons, I don't encourage it. I just think that, I don't know, is it a cheater version of pitching? Does it actually help you? I don't know. A lot of people have, different opinions. I think that using the ground as much as possible is beneficial. I think that once you're off of the ground, you're losing the ground force drive that you can have with if you actually had your feet on the ground. I think that when you leap, it changes your release point. So you've got to be like really freaking good to have the same release point and the same landing every single time. I mean, those are so many different variables that you have to make sure are perfect and happen the same every single time to be successful with leaping.
So you don't think it would have helped you if you would have had the opportunity?
Nope.
You wouldn't have done it?
Nope, I would have never done it.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Another question we had was, you hear a lot of people talking about that you only really need 3 pitches, a rise ball, a drop ball, and a changeup. Do you subscribe to that? Or, I heard you mention having 5 pitches before. What do you think on that?
Nowadays, if you have something that goes up, if you have something that goes down, and if you have something that's a change of speed, I think you're doing pretty good. If you have something else that goes side to side, I think would be more beneficial. You're watching college softball these days, and sometimes you're seeing the pitcher only throwing maybe 2 or 3 pitches. In my lessons, teach many pitches. And then when they get older, they can figure out which ones they want to keep, if it's all of them, or which ones they want to take away. And sometimes they don't have a choice. When they get to college, if the coach is calling the pitches, they're going to call X, Y, and Z, and maybe not A, B, C.
Mm-hmm.
I always encourage my players to work on all of the pitches, because the way that I coach and teach, the other pitches, meaning like the screwball, the curveball, they are based off of the drop ball or the rise ball, So if you want to throw a palm up curveball, then you got to know how you're supposed to move a rise ball, to me. If you're wanting to throw a drop curve, well, you got to know how to throw a drop ball, or at least a fastball with internal rotation and pronation on the arm and on the path that the arm makes. I try to make it as easy as possible, but you still need the base pitches in order to throw the big time pitches, So yeah, I'm kind of torn on that question. Yeah. Eventually, when you get older, you might
narrow it.
You might narrow it down.
Yeah, I personally like that answer that you said, because I feel the same way. Yep. I think Jay does too.
100.
I like to expose my students, one at a time, but expose them to all the different pitches, figure out what they throw best. And then if they've got something that just doesn't really work very well for them, then we set that aside and we emphasize other things. But how are you going to know if that kid can throw a good rise ball if you don't have her try it? How do you know if she could throw a good curveball and, be able to use that as even if she keeps it in her pocket for 3 innings and then it has to go through the lineup a second or a third time, now she's got something different to throw at them instead of the same stuff that they've already seen.
Yeah, and your body feels different when you throw different pitches. You might be giving more whip on this pitch, and you might be utilizing your fingers more on another pitch. And I want them to experience all of the feelings, throwing all of the different pitches so that when they don't understand a specific pitch, I can say, well, when you're throwing this pitch, this is what you feel. I want you to feel that exact same thing when you're throwing this other pitch, and just more body awareness. It just makes them more well-rounded, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes too, you look at it. I've had that experience before. I'm sure you have, where I was trying to teach a kid a rise ball and she kept throwing it with curveball spin and went, well, instead of fighting the tide, let's learn to throw a curveball and then we can revisit the rise ball maybe a little bit later when you're better prepared.
Yep. And I actually do that a lot in my lessons. If their palm up curveball isn't working, I'll be like, well, let's come back to that. Let's work on your rise ball, and we'll work on the rise ball for a while, and then we'll go back to the curve, because more than likely their wrists, their fingers, their hand position, it wasn't warmed up. They didn't have enough practice doing that action prior, but they got themselves warmed up. They were like, oh yeah, like they had the aha moment, like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that on my curve. And I just remembered this because I did this motion or action with my rise.
So Sarah, I want to ask you, we just got a couple more questions for you. Just a couple here. So thank you so much for today hanging out with us. But here's one for you. Do you have any advice for budding young pitchers or parents of young pitchers that are getting started? And then I'm going to follow up your answer with a little information that we talked about with the clinic. So if you can give some advice to some people, kids that are starting out, parents that have kids that are starting out.
My number one word is patience.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. It's, I think parents, coaches and parents need to remember, whether they are starting at 7 or if they are starting at 12 or 13 or 14. That specific moment, they are not going to college. They are not going to play professionally. They are not going to win an Olympic medal in that specific moment. Mm-hmm. So patience is key, and praise in a sense of encouragement, positivity, and practice. I mean, dang, did I just make up my own
I think you did. I really think you did.
All of those things tied into one. Obviously, this goes into a kid who maybe isn't new. This still counts if your kid has been playing, pitching for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. This is so fresh in my brain because I'm experiencing this right now. And I feel like there's always a time in our pitching coaching journeys when the parents are just doing too much, mm-hmm. and the kids are just feeling it from the parents. They're not even able to feel it for themselves because they're feeling it from the parents. It takes a lot of hard work and time and dedication, and that's not necessarily only on the kid. It is on the coach and it is on the parent. Yeah, the kid can go out and practice on her own, but it's like a dual partnership, you know?
It's funny too, because this is pretty much a callback to what we talked about in the beginning when you were starting out and your dad. It's the whole idea of praise the effort rather than the outcome.
Yeah.
That was a great rise ball, honey. You threw it all the way over the fence.
Yep.
And so Sarah, I want to share, if I can, with people. We did a clinic down in Columbus, Indiana years ago. And of course, Rick had you throwing a little bit. And at the end of the clinic, I'll never forget this, Sarah. And I tell it to people all the time because it made a lasting impact on me and how I look at my daughter, who's not a pitcher, but still how I look at it. And it was awesome. So everybody comes over and you and Rick are there and we're all standing by you and all the kids are asking questions and they're like, how fast did you ever throw? What was your fastest speed? And so you told them the fastest speed. And then I'll never forget. And then you said to them, you said, well, guess how old I was when I did it. And everybody thought you were in college or high school. And you're like, nope, I was in the NPF. I think you said you were like 27 or something of that, if I remember correctly. And then the next thing that you said has had a lasting impact on me. And I hope people actually listen to this. You said to them, you are never a finished product. You're always working to get better. And there's always things that you can get better at. And you said, when I come home, whether I'm in Japan or when I played in Italy, the NPF, I would come home and I would do a lesson with my dad. And there would be a list on the whiteboard of things I had to still continue to work on. And here you are talking about when you were in your late 20s and early 30s. And I think that's such a great lesson for parents and kids to hear. You're never a finished product and you just got to keep working it. So the patience and all that things that you just talked about right there is like absolutely spot on. And I just want to let you know, I'll never forget that. And I use that all the time. I'll say, Sarah Pauly threw this fast and guess when? And they're like, when she was in college. I'm like, nope. And so it was a great experience and a great moment that I'll never forget. So thanks for saying that to those kids. I think everyone there needed to hear it. And I hope parents need to hear that too.
And I think I remember hearing too that you weren't even considered particularly fast until you were fairly old for a pitcher. I mean, it wasn't like at 14 you were blasting the ball. You were very mediocre pitcher then.
Yeah, I wasn't. I think maybe. Shoot, I probably lived in college. I probably lived in the 61 to 65 range. It wasn't until after college that my speed just started picking up. Can you imagine? Mm-hmm. The learning, the growing, I'm saying that again and again. The learning, the growing. It keeps going. It just never ends. And, I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I don't know it all. I still try and learn. Every single time I am with my dad now, or not necessarily only my dad, anybody in the softball world who knows pitching, who maybe knows hitting, I'm still learning, taking notes, trying to figure out how to use those things to approach my pitchers to make them better for the people that they're going to be facing, in the box, and just different adversities they're going to be facing in general as a pitcher on all of the different platforms in all of the leagues and anywhere that they're going to experience in their pitching career.
If someone's interested in doing lessons with you, how do they get a hold of you? And then do you only do in-person lessons or do you do online lessons as well?
I'm laughing because I am currently at full capacity. So I'm not taking any new clients, but until the summer. Usually somebody would reach out via email, which is on our Pauly Girl website. They, I think, fill out like a little inquiry about pitching lessons. Most of the time, people are recommended through other students' parents or recommended from coaches, college coaches or travel ball coaches or Pauly Girl fast pitch coaches.
And the website's polygirlfastpitch.com. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. Thank you, Ken.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm extremely busy. I'm sure you guys are as well. But I am looking forward to the summer starting, because then we can have unlimited amounts of hours instead of having to wait for school to get out.
Yeah. Same here.
Week, Yep.
So Sarah, just one more question for you today. And we ask this of everybody. So do you have any hidden talents or hobbies outside of softball that would surprise people?
Well, growing up, I did play the piano.
Oh, okay.
And I know, shocking, right?
Yeah.
I haven't taken a piano lesson or class in a very long time, but If there is sheet music on the piano, we have a piano at my parents' house, and I actually have a keyboard here. So I just, whip it out and play every now and then. If there is sheet music on the piano, whenever I come home and visit, I can sit down, look at the sheet music, and start playing.
Oh, that's nice. Awesome.
You can still read.
I can still read it. I still remember all the keys. Yeah, my mom hates me whenever I do that because, she takes her piano classes every now and then, and it takes her forever to figure it out and read the music and sit down and play. And she's been practicing, she might be practicing a song for a couple weeks. And I come home and I look at the music and I sit down and start playing it. So,
yeah, I mean, a long time ago, I used to be able to sight read really well. I played a variety of different instruments, played piano, played different instruments in the band and all that. And I could read, every clef and all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of foreign now. It's kind of like having a language. If you don't speak the language for a while, it's like, yeah, it sounds familiar, but I can't really make out what you're saying.
Yep. All
right. Well, that's fun. I didn't know that about you. We'll have to, next time I see you, we'll have to find a piano somewhere.
For sure. I really enjoyed that. It was a nice balance. Gotta
love music.
Yep.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. I mean, we told you to be an hour. We've obviously taken up a lot more of your time than that, but we really appreciate it. This has been great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Great. It was awesome speaking with you guys. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I probably could sit here and talk with you guys for much longer, but I know we got to cut it off. I'm sure I'll see you guys again.
We got to do it again. We got to do it again for sure.
Yeah.
We do.
We'll bring you on, get some of the questions that we weren't able to get to this time.
Of course.
Jay, you want to say something about the t-shirts real quick before we take off?
Just a quick reminder. Again, we have a few t-shirts left, and anybody that will follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, if you give us a follow and a share an episode, and again, this one would be another excellent episode to share, and just send us a message that you've done that, we will happily mail you a t-shirt while supplies last and sizes last. We only have a few left, which is awesome. So if you really want one, make sure you click follow on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube, and also share an episode out to let others know about this awesome podcast, and we'll send you a free t-shirt.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks to all of you for listening and the kind words you've been sharing with us. If you like what you're hearing, please remember to give us a like, leave a comment, and share this podcast on your social media channels, and maybe get a t-shirt. Make sure you never miss an episode by following us on your favorite podcast platform. And if you're so inclined, you can also leave us a great review on Apple Podcasts to help more people find us. On behalf of the From the Coach's Mouth podcast, have a great rest of your week and weekend.